Hi guys. Okay, so today we're gonna do your pool school. So starting off with the basics here, this is your pump for the pool. Okay, so a pump draws water from the pool and pushes it through all your equipment. Coming from your pool, you have two suction lines. The first one's the main drains, so that's labeled MD. That's the two drains at the bottom of the pool. The second one over here, S, that's for skimmer. That's the square box on the side of the wall. To control these three suctions here, we have a three-way valve. Okay, so this valve has 3 ports, 1, 2, and 3, and there's one door in the valve to control your suctions. So right here where you see the off position on your valve, that means there's a door right there. Okay, so there's a door right here. Okay, if I go ahead and I turn my door towards the skimmer, now my door is here, meaning that the skimmer line is off and the main drain line is on. So we're only drawing water from the bottom of the pool right now. Okay. Normal operation for this valve, we're going to keep the off position right in the center. That means we're drawing water both from the bottom of the pool and the top of the pool. This is best for your circulation. We're going to grab all the cold water at the bottom, all the dirt that collects on the bottom, and we're also going to clean everything that floats at the top, the leaves, the pollen, that kind of stuff. So this is what you do all the time. For special situations like draining your pool in the fall, when you have to drain your pool below the jets, you're going to want to shut off your skimmer line. That way when you're draining your water and the water goes below the skimmer on your pool, you're not going to start drawing in air. So you'll be able to drain your pool all the way to the bottom in this situation, okay? For vacuuming the pool, which we're going to go through later, that's when you would close your main drain and only draw from the skimmer. We'll go through that in a bit, okay? This pump here that you have is a self-priming pump. That means that every time you turn on and off the system, you do not have to add water to the pump. Okay, the only time you'd have to add water to the pump, like a bucket of water or the hose into it, is if you open up the system, you let in a bunch of air, and then when you're starting your system back up, if you have a hard time filling up the pump with water, that's the situation where you would take a bucket of water and pour it into the pump to prime it. Okay, if you look in here, this pump here has a pump basket in it. You have to empty that pump basket whenever it gets full. It could be every week for your pool. It could be every month for your pool. Just keep an eye on it and you'll get the hang of it to know when to empty your pool. Some people have dirtier yards than others, okay? So to empty this basket is very simple. You're gonna shut off the system. So you're gonna go turn your pump off, okay? So we'll just show you guys all this later on the Easytouch here. No need to show this here. Okay, so we'll show you how to turn your pump off in a bit. Everybody is a bit different, okay? So once your pump's off, then you can go ahead and open the lid. So the lid turns counterclockwise to open it up. I usually just tap the edges because if you just force it, the lid comes loose and you end up smashing your fingers on the pipe. Okay, so I just give it a couple taps. Your pump lid comes off. On your pump lid here, every pump's the same. You've got the lid that's loose and then the collar around it. And in here, you can see there's a black gasket. Okay, so if this O-ring gasket comes off, you've got to reposition it in here before you put your pump lid back on. You're gonna go ahead, take your basket, take all this stuff, dump it out. When you put your basket back in, make sure you line up the inlet hole with the inlet of the pump, okay? If you push your basket in this way, all the debris is gonna just collect in the pipes and never go into the basket and you're gonna clog your pipes. So make sure you just line this up this way, okay? So inlet hole towards the inlet. Okay. When I'm putting my pump lid back on, make sure your O-ring gasket's in place. Line up your collar in the grooves and then just hand tighten it like that. Okay. If you start off your pump lid over here with your collar and then you go to close it, this knob here is going to hit the pipe before the pump lid's tight enough. Okay, so then you're going to be drawing in air in your system and you won't know. So always make sure you line up your pump lid from here, okay? All right, so that's it for the pump. Coming over to here, this is your drain. This is what you connect to drain the pool in the fall or anytime you need to drain the pool. We've got an adapter here for you. You have to get a 1.5-inch rubber hose. You can get it at the entire Walmart, wherever, a pool chemical store. It's a blue hose, it connects to here and it has a clamp. So that's what you're gonna connect and run to a drain in your yard or anywhere where you wanna drain your water to, okay? To drain that, have your pump running. this is your ball valve here. So this works if it's perpendicular to the pipe. As such right now, it's closed. If we turn this parallel to the pipe, it opens up the pipe. So water would shoot out of here right now if the pump was on, okay? When you've got your hose hooked up, it's a good idea to reel it and bring it to your drain spot. Then start your pump and just slowly turn this valve open, just like that. Let the hose fill with water, get all the kinks out of the hose, and then go ahead and open it all the way. If you just open it all the way right away and there's a kink in the line, it's gonna blow the line right off the fitting here, okay? Coming around over here, this is your cartridge filter, okay? So this is not a sand filter, so there's no backwashing or rinsing or anything like that for this filter, okay? The only maintenance you have to do on this filter is you have to clean the cartridges inside this filter. So this filter has 4 big cartridges inside it. You normally do that once a season on brand new filters if you're not under construction, okay? If your yard's under construction or if your filters start getting a bit older, around 4 seasons or so, then your filters might clog halfway through the year. So you have to take this filter apart and clean the filters with a pressure washer. So please see our video on the website on how to clean your cartridge filters to do that, okay? In a normal situation, when you're just starting off with your pool, when we close the pool, we take this apart, we take the filters out for you, so you've got all winter to pressure wash those, and then we can put them back in when we open the pool, okay? At the top of your filter here, you have an air bleed valve. Okay, so you have to release the air out of the system anytime you're working on the system. So just earlier I opened up the pump lid, so we've got a bunch of air in the system right now. Okay, so every time you open the pump lid or you're changing your cartridge filters or you're working on anything, you let air into the system, you've got to bleed the air here. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the pump. Once the pump starts filling up with water, I'm going to open this up, let all the air out. Once water shoots out, I'm going to go ahead and close it. Okay. So we've got our pump turned on here now. So if we look into the basket, okay, we're just going to wait for that to fill up a little bit more. So now I'm going to turn the air release on. And now we're good. So we let all the air out of the system and now we're full of water. Okay? So you only have to do that when you're opening up the system. If you forget to do that and you've opened up the pump lid, it's not a big deal. The air could work itself out to the jets. But if you're doing something major and you've got air coming into the system for 24 hours or you were changing your cartridges in the filter, and you forget to do that, it could blow the lid off the filter. So just make sure to remember to do that if you're, if you're working on your pump for a while or you're changing the cartridges in your filter. Okay? Moving along over here. Okay, so this over here is your heater. So your heater has a display panel here. If you have an Easytouch panel, don't touch this panel. It's already programmed to work with the Easytouch panel. So don't go ahead and touch the settings on here. It's all controlled through the Easytouch panel. If you ever see this, you'll notice that the heater here is set to 95 degrees or 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's only set that high because the Easytouch panel can only turn the heater on if it's set to 95 or 100. Okay? So don't worry, it's not going to heat your pool to that temperature. It's just set to that so the Easytouch panel can communicate with the heater. Okay, so if you have an Easytouch, don't worry about this display. Around here to the side, you have a gas valve right near your heater. Okay, so this works the same way as your ball valve on your pool. So right now it's on because it's parallel with the pipe. If it's perpendicular with the pipe, it's in the off position. Okay, so at the start of the year, if your heater doesn't turn on, that's the first thing you check. Just make sure you got gas going to your heater. Okay, that's it for that. Coming around over here, this is your salt chlorinator. Okay, so this unit here is also controllable through the Easytouch panel. So you're not going to have to play around with any of these buttons here or lights, but these are good as a quick indicator. So if you're walking by your pool equipment, you can check out these lights to see if everything's operating fine. So I'll go through the lights here. Your first top 2 lights are your salt level lights. So if you got a solid green light, it's written right beside here, that means you have good salt. So solid green, good salt. So that's good. If it's a solid red light, you have low salt, okay? If you have low salt into your pool, you have to bring it up to good salt. So you're gonna have to add a bag of salt into your pool. Whenever you have low salt, don't go ahead and add 5 bags in your pool. Add 1 full bag, wait 24 hours for the salt to fully dilute, then come check your cell. If your cell is still flashing low, then repeat the process. Add another bag, wait a day, and then come check it. The reason I'm saying that is because if you have a flashing green light here, which is high salt, the only way to get rid of the salt is to drain the water out of your pool and then add fresh water back into it. Okay, so it's a lot less of a pain to just add more salt to your pool than to have to drain the water. Okay? The next light here that we see is a cold water light. You're gonna see this light turn on at the start of every year. So this is a red light, it's on cold water, and every other light is off. This cell does not operate and does not generate chlorine if the water's about 68 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. So every year for the first couple of weeks when you're opening up your pool in the spring, this light will be on. When this light is on and it's cold water, like I said, this does not generate chlorine. So your pool is now a chlorine pool for those first couple of weeks. So it's a good idea to have chlorine pucks on hand, and because you'll have to add chlorine to your pool manually for those weeks when this is not running. Okay? Your next light here is your cell light. Okay? If this is solid green, it means it's generating chlorine at this present time. This light is not always on because the cell does not generate chlorine 24/7. Sometimes it's off. If ever you see a flashing orange light here, that means you have to service the cell. Okay? So in this cell here, we have metal grills that go across. Those grills get clogged up with calcium and iron and that kind of stuff. So about once a season, maybe once every 2 seasons, you have to do what's called an acid wash on the cell. So you're basically just cleaning the metal on there to get rid of the calcium and the iron buildup. If you read your cell right here, it says acid wash the cell every 3 months. In the Ottawa climate, what we've noticed, and if you're testing your water regularly, you can get away with it with 1 to 2 seasons. Okay? The more you clean your cell, the more you're wearing out the coating on those metal fins inside. So it's not a good idea to over clean your cell. That's why we recommend doing the once a year cleaning. We can also offer the service for you when we open or close the pool. You just have to let us know ahead of time. It's a good idea to get us to do it too, because we can open up the cell, take a look inside, and see if the cleaning actually needs to be done. If it doesn't need to be done, we won't do it and we won't charge you for it. Over here, this is your flow light. Okay, so if there's enough water pressure, this light is green. You have to have a certain amount of water pressure for this cell to operate. So if this light is green, it means you have proper amounts of water pressure. If ever you see this light is red, it could be because your pump's off, your pump speed is too low, you're vacuuming, or a big and the main cause is when your filters are clogged up. So you don't have enough water pressure for this to operate. So if ever you see a red flow light here, it could mean that you have to clean your cartridge filters. Okay? Moving along over here, these lights are controlled through your Easytouch panel. If you look at the bottom here, it says 20, 40, 60, 80, 100%. These lights are set because you only, to program your cell to control the chlorine in your pool. Okay? So right now we have it set to 60%. So that means that the cell will generate chlorine for 60% of the time that water runs through the pool. On most pools, that's what you're setting your cell to, is 60%. Okay? You're gonna have to play around with the setting on your chlorinator a little bit. If you start at 50% and you're testing your water every 2 weeks and you notice your chlorine level is always too low, then maybe you have to program your cell a bit higher. So try 60%, 80%. If your chlorine's always too high in your pool, then lower your percentage a bit. So like I said, average pools is around 50 to 60%. You're gonna have to fine tune your pool and figure out how that works for you, okay? This cell can also do, could also shock your pool automatically. So we'll show you how to do that on the Easytouch panel. One thing to know about the cell is that it's like tires on your car. So the more you use the cell, the more the coating on the fins inside wear off, and you're eventually gonna have to replace this cell. So if you have normal use on your cell, you're gonna get about 8 seasons out of it. Okay, if you're using your cell very heavily, so you're always at 80% or you're always doing shocks, you're gonna use it faster, you're gonna wear it out faster. It's just like if you drive your car and you do burnouts all the time, you wear out your tires faster. So keep that in mind. If ever you wanna do a shock, it might be a better idea to just add the chlorine manually instead of using your cell, okay? Coming out of your salt cell, now we're going back to your pool, okay? The majority of pools do not have water features. So you're only going back to one line, and you'll see here R, that's for your returns in the pool. So that's the 2 jets in the pool, that's for the water circulation, okay? So if you don't have water features in your pool, don't worry about this, the water just goes back into the jets. If you do have water features in your pool, you're gonna have what's called three-way valves here. So it's the same valve that's at the pump, okay? In this particular pool, we have two water features. We have SJ, that stands for step jets, which is a common feature. And then we also have a waterfall on this pool, okay? So these valves work just like the valves at the pump. If I wanna turn on the waterfall, I've got to turn my off position to over here. Now that's letting water into my waterfall. If I want really high pressure on my waterfall, I would shut this off. So now I'm not sharing my water with the returns, I'm going straight to the waterfall, okay? Same thing over here. Right now our step jets are off, SJ. If I were to do this, my stair jets would turn on and my returns to the pool are off. If you have water features in your pool, keep in mind that your returns is what cleans and circulates and heats your pool. If you're only running your water features all the time and you have no returns on, you're not gonna get the proper circulation in your pool. So don't leave your returns off for weeks at a time. If you have them for one day or a weekend, that's fine, but keep in mind that this is what actually cleans your pool. These are just features for fun, okay? So that's it for the equipment side of things.